We even have the Thanks everybody for being here. We also have the director of the SBDC, the Brink, Amy Duncan with us. So she's going to be off camera and off, but she's here listening to everything and listening to if we have any examples of 3-minute pitches that come up, she's able to hear it and be able to support as well. We have Stephen here from the Brink as well, who is just a phenomenal support system for entrepreneurs and us as advisors to run the program. The programs that we do and the resources that we have at the Brink. So thank you so much for being here. Again, this is a workshop on the 3-minute pitch, and it is led by the Brink SBDC. So hopefully all of you have advisors at the Brink that support you as you launch and scale your businesses. If you do not, I just want to make sure that in the chat, let us know if you need any support there. If you just heard this for the first time or not, or you need an advisor, just put it in there. Stephen and I can look at it as we're going through. I might not be able to do it right away, but we'll get you in the system. So very excited about this. Let me dive right in. Oh, Amy is chatting it up here. So I'm very excited to have her here as always. I'm going to bring up my pitch deck. So the agenda for, oh, Stephen, do you have something? Mohan, Stephen, can you answer that question? Can someone name all the advisors for Mohan? I know we have a web page that has all of them there. Instead of me just naming them off, maybe Stephen, you can put in the website so that they can check out all the advisors. But what our philosophy is that all of the advisors, we are a network of advisors. We also have a bigger network with other SBDCs. So we really can serve everybody's needs. We have partnerships with other organizations in San Diego as well. So, but know that you are supported by not just one advisor, but a network of advisors. So like, let's say sometimes my clients, I can't help them anymore. Maybe they have like a manufacturing question. We have somebody who's kind of a guru there, finance, legal, product, investor relations, everything is there. So Stephen has put the link in the chat of the website of the team there. So check it out, Mohan. See who would really fit your needs as a business owner. And we're here to support you all the time. So anyways, let me jump to the presentation. Hey, Mitchell, thanks for, or Michael, sorry, I always forget. And being here and being part of this workshop. So again, this is the 3-minute pitch workshop. I am going to first, the agenda is to go through the pitch deck template that I usually go through. And typically that's for about a 10-minute pitch. I know. But I want to go through all of that because your 3-minute pitch is different from another person's 3-minute pitch. There's typical slides that you would want to cover in a 3-minute, and I'll go through that. But sometimes it's really warranted to have a competitive matrix in a 3-minute slide because there's so many competitors out there, and you need to really address the elephant in the room and be able to add a competitive matrix in there. Maybe another company doesn't need to have a competitive matrix. That's okay. So I'll kind of go through the whole ultimate pitch deck template for everybody. If you have seen this before, I try to do fresh examples, the ones that, let's say in the last month, I've been able to see I see a lot of founders all the time. So I give you some fresh examples. I don't use old examples. And if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. The second part of the agenda is really focusing in on that 3-minute, really making sure, do you really understand that these are the slides that make sense? And then craft a good 3-minute pitch. And then lastly is whoever is ready to give a 3-minute pitch, I will be asking for volunteers, because how you learn is to hear somebody else pitch and say, I love how they did that kind of phrasing of the market, or I love how they presented the product. And I can kind of get that learning and be able to do it myself. So we'll have a couple of people give their 3-minute. I'll be timing it and giving some great feedback to your 3-minute pitches. So hopefully everybody is aligned to that agenda. Let's see if there's any no questions. Perfect. So I just want to make sure everything was good in the chat. I had to go back and forth. Overall, before I go into the ultimate pitch deck, any pitch that you do, that means 3 minutes, 5 minute, 10 minute, 20 minute, 15 minutes, should really have 3 essential pieces. And especially this 3 minute needs to be able to have these 3 down packed, because you only have 3 minutes to go through. Is why you, why now, and product market fit. Those are the 3 things that are really, really important. So why you? Why do you really are the founder who wants to do this company and who is fit to do the company? So that's a little bit of founder market fit. Just make sure here. Founder market fit. Why do you are the person who wants to do this company? Why is it warranted that you do it? What do you know about the market? Do you have a competitive edge because of the experience that you do have in, let's say, the corporate world, or the experience that you've had as a patient? Whatever that is, you want to really make sure that people really understand why you, and maybe why your team, right? Sometimes a 3 minute pitch is too short to be able to go through the whole entire team, but what's at the executive level? Number 2 is why now? I will be presenting slides, but I'm just going to go through these 3 things pretty quickly. So why you, why now is why now this product? You know, there might be a market that's super huge, or there's a trend that's going on that you're like, I need to capture that trend. Is it that the consumers are really ready for this? Because you've done a lot of customer interviews and you want to make sure that you are meeting them where they are. And lastly is product market fit. So what kind of fit do you have? Do you have an MVP, minimal viable product, or a prototype that really answers to the needs of a customer? Do you have the market fit that people are buying from you, that they want your product? Sometimes you don't get product market fit until maybe even seed stage and you're pitching a pre-seed company. That's okay, but making sure that you are addressing what that product market fit is. Are you tractioning there? Are you do you have something that to show that you are near product market fit? So that's why I just go through this really quickly. Any pitch has those 3. I'm going to repeat again: why you, why now, and product market fit. Those are the 3 kind of tried and true things that you would want to have in any pitch. 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let me now go into the ultimate pitch template that I have here. I'm going to share my screen now. Wonderful. You can see it. Perfect. So let me go to slideshow. And this is something that I've created because I have this conversation all the time about what is the ultimate pitch template that I need to follow as a founder. So I created this as a template that is a fictitious business name and fictitious business, but this actually came from a deck that we created at Astra Ventures that we spent 42 or 43 versions on. So it started off as a SaaS platform and very wordy, very much lots of text, lots of things on it. And we ended up in something similar to this that's very, very pared down. So even though it is a fictitious business, it is coming from an example of an existing business that we actually invested in. So I wanted you to have that kind of anchoring on what we're going to be talking about today. So the slides is like a 12-slide startup pitch deck, and you're going to see, you know, variations of this all over the internet. Calacanis's 12 or 10 pitch deck, somebody else's haiku deck, and all of that. I kind of take an approach of these are the 12 tried and true slides that you should have for a presentation, 3, 5, and 10 minutes. The highlighted ones here are really the essentials for the 3-minute pitch. So I'll kind of go through them right now. And as we're going through it, you're gonna be like, okay, this is the one that I need. So number 1 is the opening, obviously the cover slide, your value proposition, maybe just your logo, depending on how you're going to start the pitch. Number 2 is the problem or the opportunity. Slide 3 is your solution. What's the product? What's your offering? Number 4 is the market validation, maybe the market size. How big is your market? Maybe it's a TAM, SAM, SOM, which is total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, and sorry, I always get this always mixed up. TAM, SAM, and SOM is serviceable addressable market, and then SOM is serviceable obtainable market. So I have to just make sure that I'm seeing it in my head again. The business model is slide number 5. And that's going through just your revenue model with key revenue streams. So usually you see this as like a 2 or 3 circle slide that says, okay, I'm going to do a subscription model with a premium feature. I'm going to sell direct to consumer, B2B, and a B2C play. That's business to business, business to consumer. Or D2C is direct to consumer. So you can have all those kind of iterations, but you want to be able to directly and succinctly say, this is my business model. Then I'm going to go into slide 8 for that 3-minute, because we're really focused on that 3-minute team. Obviously, slide 9 is traction. So traction can look very different for different companies. It could be a timeline. It could be, hey, we've been able to obtain these patents and this publication in this article, in this publication. Things that are specific to your company and your market that will stand out for that investor. Then you have slide 11 being the ask, the capital raise. Even if 3-minute and you're talking to investors, they will want to see this slide, even if you cover it within like 10 seconds. Then the last one is closing slide, contact details, questions. A lot of entrepreneurs actually forget this last slide because they're like, I got all the meat and potatoes, I'm done. Well, no, you need to just have one more that's contact. So we're looking at slide 1 and slide 12 as just kind of fillers of the things that you need to get done. And those are pretty much seconds. And all the rest will be able to fill out the 3-minute pitch. Typically, you want to be mindful that it's about 1 minute per slide. I know that I'm giving you more than 1 minute per slide, right? But if you're thinking that way, you know, okay, in this one slide, I need to be 30 seconds, this other slide, 30 seconds. This one I can stay about 1 minute on, and this one I can do 30, 15, 20 seconds per slide. So knowing that those are that kind of the core of the 3-minute, let me go through the whole 12 slide pitch deck, as typically it's going to be a 5 to 10 minute. So again, the same things from slide 1 to slide 5. And then you have slide 6 right here is that composition, or the slide 7 go-to-market strategy. I know some of you are saying, oh, in that 3-minute, I want to do the go-to-market strategy. Great, if that's where you're at. If you're pre-seed and it's something that is going to be a really long go-to-market strategy, but you want to touch on it, you can, but just be careful that you're going to run out of slides. You're going to be really tight on that time. Competition is another one, is that, oh, I have to have my matrix. I have to have something that showcases, showcases what my competitive advantage is. That's great, but you have 3 minutes only. Then you have slide 8 and 9, and then slide 10 is future projections or financials. In a 3-minute, you can throw it up there, but nobody really has enough time to review it. And let me just put a pin in that comment, and then I'll come back to it. You can always have at the very end, after the closing slide, an executive summary. We'll go through what that looks like, so that you have it all spelled out of what is your company all about and why would somebody invest in you. That's that executive summary. Let me take out that pin for the future projections. There is that in a 3-minute pitch or even a 5-minute pitch, you're going to be very choosy of what you're going to put in your slides, because it's equally as important what you put into your slides as you leave out of the slides. So if you're competing for something, you're like, okay, my 3-minute pitch, I have 3 minutes, and how much is Q&A? They're like, oh, you have 5 minutes for Q&A. Ah, interesting. So I can do a 3-minute pitch, and I can put some of the information in that 5-minute Q&A. I know it's kind of playing Russian roulette if you're saying, what are the questions I'm going to be asked? But any question that maybe is about marketing, or like the, not marketing, but market potential, you can slide in what's your competitive advantage, or the go-to-market strategy, get to that market. If somebody asks you about your product, you can say, oh, my product is blah, blah, blah. Let me clarify that. And the traction that we've received is that customers love our product. We've had 100 customer interviews, and we've undoubtedly know that this customer is the one who's going to buy. And by the way, we have a contract with that customer. You see how just that's very easy to answer that question and leave it out of the 3-minute. So let me go through each slide. Want to make sure that I'm going to go back to the chat feature. Anybody has any questions so far? Because I'm going to go through each and an individual slide right now. I don't see any chats coming up. Perfect. Let me just drink a lot of water and dive right in. Okay, sorry, I'm going fast on this. I wanted to give some caveats here. I'm not a designer. So this is not a super design deck, but this was done after 43 iterations with a designer. You can go to Fiverr to get logos and some designs made. I actually went and got a free logo to make this slide deck. Let me just see about the chat here. Oh, Mohan, great. Is it 1 minute per slides, 10 minutes pitch? Yes, 1 minute per slide. Typically, you want to make sure that you give yourself that much. But again, as I just said about like, you know, these are the these are the elements of the 3 minute, the ones that are highlighted. That's actually more slides than 3 minutes, 1 minute per slide. So that's why I was just giving you that saying that maybe slide 1 and slide 12 are not really part of your 3 minute. They're just clickable slides to get through your logo. Thank you for that question, Mohan. Other considerations for this is that this is an over-exaggeration on design connection to logo and colors. I want it to be that at the end you understood the colors, you understand to the design, and that you can you understand what we're all about. This is meant to be ready for a 5 minute to 10 minute pitch, and you might want to add more for a 10 to 15. Maybe describe the product a little bit more with 2 slides for the product, or you have financials and you have 2 sets, one financial projection and one that is something else, right? So just know that you can add more slides. It is overcompensated on simple design, fewer words. So if you're sending a send ahead deck for a 3 minute, you want to have a little bit more text so that you can explain what you're talking about. But this is meant to be a deck that you are pitching. It follows a story arc, a fictitious one, but a strong story of a nimble tech startup with a strong team and revenue. That story arc is super important for your pitch deck. Yeah, because sometimes you're like, oh, you know what? I've seen the team in slide 2, right? Not instead of at the end. A lot of YC companies and Y Combinator and Techstars actually put their team at the front. I've seen it work really, really well with a team in the front when somebody has a very strong co-founder team and they have to validate, hey, we've been in the fashion industry for years. And what we saw over and over again is blankety blank about the fashion industry. I am from whatever fashion thing, and this other person is an ops in trying to find out how do you make fashion accessible or something like that. And then you start your pitch. That's really great. But if the team it's just one founder who loves fashion, then that should be at the very end saying one founder with a team that will support that founder, something like that. So just know that you can put those into different locations. And also the financials, market data are all made up in this pitch deck. So don't say, oh my gosh, is that where I need to be? No, it's not. It's just meant to be an example. So let's start this. So this is this startup company, Fun Fab Fit AI. And this is the first slide. It's a gorgeous startup company, always pitching, always in control. The problem for most companies that we're going to be servicing and giving a product to is that the average time that we have that the customer spends on whatever task that they have is 100,000 hours, and there's a resource cost of $1 billion. So that's kind of like what that setup is. It's a time and cost problem. And I have a picture here of somebody kind of frustrated, right? And you'll see that, this logo that I created with $0, the free 99 logo is right here. And I'm using this same design in all of the slides. I've never seen a design like this used in slides, but I wanted to overcompensate for design. It's usually, circles or squares or bullets, but making sure that these numbers stand out. Then the solution is an enterprise software platform for small businesses to be amazing. Now, you see how I describe the company very easily, an enterprise software platform. A lot of people have all the rest of the slide and don't really define who they are. It's a battery company. It's a medical device that does this. So you want to be as simple as possible. So if somebody sees this, they know exactly what you're doing. And I'm cutting costs. I'm cutting 100K to 5K and $1 billion to 500K costs for the company. Yes. So Mohan says, should each slide have a lot of pictures and few words, or a lot of words and a few pictures? Well, something like this, I'm overcompensating for a small amount of words, and really making sure that story. I know, Seb, you said something about the importance of making the pitch a story, and wanted to make sure that people by the end who are looking at this deck understand like there's a problem. I also chose pictures that are part of a platform play, like somebody is at a computer, somebody is doing something in an office. So you can play with pictures and symbols and like squares and circles and all of that, so that you are showcasing what you are. For example, if somebody's a creative company, right, and they have everything in boxes, I would say probably not the greatest use of design, because if a creative design company or somebody's doing something super creative, I want the slides to be creative as well. So something with like a swoosh or something that really is connecting with the story and the logo. I chose this because it's a platform. It's very like linear. I want it to be organized. I want it to be in certain like buckets as I'm going through the pitch deck. And it's a tech company. So a tech company, square, a circle, or something that is very like design, like simple design is what I want to communicate. In a tech company, and I want this to also be very calming, I use very calm colors. If you go into viewing Google behaviors or feelings of color, usually red is like hard hitting, like I want to be confident, I want to be like out there. That's a red color, would be a red logo of somebody who wants to be bold. That's why some banks are bold and red, because they're like, we want to be there for you. And then like blues and greens are more calming, right? So this is a calming, organizing template, my platform for companies to feel great about just getting organized and feeling calmer. You're reducing the hours, you're reducing the costs. So that's what you can do with color. The words versus pictures is when you're doing a deck like this and you only have 3 minutes, do you think somebody is really going to read all the text that's on a page? No, they want to hear you. But if they have a text that supports exactly what you're saying, they're like, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. So Mohan, it's like a matter of how many words do you have on it, and pictures connecting with a story that you have. So if you have pictures that don't make any sense, don't do it. And the story. So how do you formulate the story is I would go with, having an arc that you are pulling through and connecting the dots as a founder. So think about it as you are the only one that really understands there's a problem here in the market that I have identified as a founder because of XYZ. And let me tell you about that specific problem. Not just, let's say, let's do a recycling company. A recycling company that works with hotels, that they're trying to say, hey, it's not about recycling, but actually sourcing not just plastics, but cork and bamboo in, let's say, forks and knives, and then in other products, right? So that's not truly recycling, right? But you don't want to start that story arc saying recycling is a bad problem and the world is coming to an end. You're like, there's a really deep problem with hotels that want to reduce their carbon footprint and they don't know how to do it. They think it's just cardboard. It's actually not. They can actually look at their whole system and see like how they bring in sustainable designs, and that's their biggest concern. That's a big problem, and they can save money and they can reduce their carbon footprint. Dun, dun, dun. The solution is my thing, right? We do blah, 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 blah to make sure that they are reducing their stress, reducing their carbon footprint, and check mark, I'm done that. Oh, and by the way, there's a huge market for that because I've researched it. Boom. And then it's like, you know what? The customers are raving. We already have one contract with a hotel that wants us to be around for 5 years. And we have about 20 others in the pipeline. Oh, and how we're going to make money is a subscription model, because we ask them, how do you want to interact with us? And that's what we are giving them. Now, our team is ripe for like disrupting this whole entire industry, because one person worked at Marriott. I am like an earth connoisseur, and I have a marketing person that just knows how to do it. And we're just asking for about $200,000 to get us off the ground. You see how that's a really neat story, that you're kind of just weaving somebody through. You're doing all of the things that you need to do in the pitch deck, but you are really weaving that story through. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm going to go on, Seb, with the rest of it. Let's do that. So that's the solution there. The value prop, I really like this one. Sometimes this does not get added into, let's say, a 3-minute pitch, but it's nice to know the value prop and talk about this, especially like in a 10-minute pitch. There's confidence, clarity, and control that my company is giving to my customer. And how I do that, I just want to, I'm like, there we go. And how I do that is real-time tracking on my platform, customizable inputs, and super user dashboard. So those are the things that we have developed in our company, and we will be giving to the customers. And this is the product. I'm just going to close my door really quick. Give me a second. Sorry about that. The fam came home. So one is, and the reason why I opted to do the value prop when I did is because I knew that I wanted to have 3 screenshots of the product, right? So you'll see, I'm just going to go through them 1, 2, 3, and then I'll come back to the first one. So 1, 2, and 3. But I knew that I wanted to make sure that there's some kind of cohesiveness through it. So that's why I said, okay, I'm going to go up front and say my value prop is confidence, blah, blah, blah. So the confidence is this real-time tracking. And if you're a software company, you want to be able to have a screenshot that people understand, that you can actually see what that person is talking about and can see something. Not that you can understand the whole platform, but there's something on here that I am trying to communicate. I'm trying to communicate real-time tracking. I can see a little bit that there's some tracking in here. You'll see that I added here the logo here. This is actually just a Google screenshot, right, of something that I thought would be really great to put in here. This is a Canva, computer, and that's my logo on that side. So this is, hypothetical, but this is something that is really nice to be able to showcase. I've also seen that whenever you want to showcase that you're mobile friendly and all of that, you can put a mobile phone here. And be able to say, okay, we are a platform and we're mobile friendly, because you see it all here, right? That's an easy kind of trick that if you have, if you have thought about that, you want to showcase in this first one that you are mobile friendly. Next up is control, right? Is that there's, again, the logos here, and I give you a screenshot that there's slidable things that the user can actually customize on my platform. So again, it's not just showcasing a bunch of screenshots to say, we did it all. This is the best platform ever. It's really being very focused on the story that you're giving to the investor or to the person who you're pitching to. Lastly, as I said, clarity, super user dashboard. So I wanted to show a dashboard here that showcases that my customers love this, that they're really, they want this because it's easy to see, it's easy to make decisions after this. So those are the 3 product slides. Next up is I'm giving you 2 examples of how you can talk about market. This is what I call a dirty slide, is that it's like, we have the potential enterprise market of $10 billion, right? It's in your face. It's like, you will not forget that you said $10 billion. I say it's dirty because it's kind of like, the number, but you're kind of saying it without any other information, right? One of my portfolio companies, actually she and I've said the story many times, so I'm sorry about if whoever is hearing it the second or third time, is that she pitched and she won almost every single pitch competition because she'd had these tactics of saying, the market is $10 billion, and everybody remembers how she said it. She used her voice to change it, but then the rest of the deck is like really technical, and she like killed it, right, on financials, on what the product does, on the business model and all that, but she just kept this one thing because she wanted them to remember that it's a $10 billion market and she wanted to win that competition. So it's a little bit, that's why I call it dirty, and she called it that too. Next up is the tried and true market size TAM, SAM, SOM. And you'll see that I just basically, these are made up numbers, but they're made up based on what is kind of, realistic, 950, 500, and 100 million. This SOM is something, this might be unrealistic in the sense of this should be the financial projections that you have for, let's say, 5 years, right? So this should be mirroring what the financial projections are giving you. So just wanted to give you that kind of congruence. One of the reasons why the San Diego Angel Conference last year winner won was because his team was able to really coordinate that top-down approach of what's the TAM, SAM, SOM, and the bottoms-up approach, saying my financials corroborate with this SOM, the serviceable, obtainable market in 5 years, in lower limb extremity, blah, 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 right? So know that this all has to make sense, that question about story is super important. Connect the dots for that investor. So that's that. This was also an example of the company that we invested in at Astra, is that she was going from banks to medium-sized enterprises to enterprising needing a tech solution. So it wasn't that these are the numbers that she used, but you could also have that approach of these are the beachhead market that I'm going to go after for the first couple of years, and then how am I going to grow and do that. So CAGR up here is compounded annual growth rate of 30%, whatever that is, it could be up here. Again, the question that was up there in the chat is like, how much text do I use, how much not? But this gives you a really great view of the numbers that you're talking about. So if I was giving the pitch, this might be 15 seconds, 20 seconds that I'm spitting out numbers. And if you don't have them on the slide, somebody's going to lose you right after the first number that's being spelled out. And then they're like, oh, and 30% CAGR. You're like, wait, where was that? Right. So something like this, when there's a little bit more numbers, you always want to go from top left to bottom right, of explaining that pitch deck. Slide. Okay. Business model. So I gave you an example of just a really easy business model of tiers, right? So the Fun Fab Fit Plus is a $5,000 monthly fee. The Fun Fab Fit Pro is $20,000. And then the Enterprise is about $50,000. You can add in here, like, who are the people that are going to be buying this if you want to. You can have two circles of B2B and B2C. But the more that you can really like distill it down so that somebody says, okay, there's a two-pronged business model, or whatever that is, you want to be as simple as possible instead of making it super complicated, and people won't remember the numbers, but they'll remember the way that you described it, the thought process behind it. This actually makes sense. 5, 20, and 50. Great. It might be that you have to tweak it at 5, 10, and 100K. And maybe there's an investor says, you know what, I know your target market super well, and I think these numbers are off. You're like, but like, is this a good like model that I'm following? They're probably going to say yes, but your pricing is a little off. Great. Coach me through this. So you can actually showcase that you're coachable as a founder by taking on questions like this, but you have the framework in mind that you've made your assumptions of how you're going to make money in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Let me stop now. There's 2 chat questions. Okay. Yeah, CAGR, it's hard. It's usually over a 5-year period. Sometimes it's hard to know what it is because there's limited information in the market. So I usually let the entrepreneur know. We walk through all of the conversations that they've had, all the research that they've had, research documents that they have, market analysis that they've done, all of that to see what does that look like. Sometimes you can calculate it, sometimes you cannot. So you make the best guesstimate. Perfect. So I'm going to go back to my here. Okay, so I gave you now the next one. So all of those that we just talked about, remember at the beginning I said the 3-minute pitch, all that we've already talked about is a typical 3-minute pitch, plus other things that might be coming up later on. This competitive landscape is one that might not be included in a 3-minute because you just don't have enough time and it's too hard to go through. So just consider that you can put it in or you don't put it in. It depends on your story, depend on what you're trying to communicate. But I gave you 2 options here just in case you want to. So this is a typical table slide. And I prefer it being the company right next to the features. So if you're looking at top left, right, of the slide, and you're looking at the left part, and then you're going over to the right, because that's typically how people do, you see the features and you first. Done. So you know I have all these features. There should no more than 5 in the features. If you have 10, let's talk, right? You need to cut them in half. So, and be as succinct as possible, not like, 3 lines of text that somebody has to read. Very easily, blockchain, super user access, smart AI naming. You see how, yes, I can go on and on about each one of them, but these are like titles of what the features are, and we do them all. Now, then on the right-hand side, usually it's like about 3 to 5 max of the competitors that are out there. Note to self, you always have competitors. If it's direct or indirect, I understand that there's a difference there, but you always have competitors. So I gave you this example of a known small company, cool bigger company, and Dropbox, somebody that everybody knows is Dropbox. So that's something, because sometimes, you have competitors that nobody knows about. And that's hard when it's like all of them that nobody knows about, right? Because then you're like, well, I really can't make the decision as an investor. Are you really have a competitive advantage over everybody else? So that's kind of what I recommend for founders to do, is to find 2 or 3 companies that might be more known to less known, and then describe that. The other way to do this is that you do it as an XY axis. As a scientist myself, I actually love the XY axis more. I like it also because it takes more thought process in back of the founder. So I really understand the founder market fit a lot better on this one, not just the competitive landscape, because usually it's like, hey, we outcompete everybody by cost and clarity, because those are like your 2 main value props. Interesting. Well, who else is in this like arena with you? Well, nobody else, but these other ones are playing in here, and we know them, we've talked to them, but we really have this edge that's why our customers will buy from us. This is very interesting. It's a little bit different than that kind of table. It's the same, but just kind of giving you that kind of approach from an investor point of view. And you'll see that Dropbox is here. You can use logos. Dropbox is here. Here's the cool bigger company B, cool bigger company A, known small company B, known small company A, right? So they're kind of all over the place, but you are always, always, always on the top right of this quadrant. That is just a tried and true thing of going into there. That is a competitive landscape. Perfect. Next up is the company status and goals. This is the traction slide. This can look as like a timeline. If you're doing a 3-minute, I would not recommend something like this because it's so hard to go through. And secondly, people are going to be like, and I couldn't even read that, right? So they're not going to like that. If you want to do a traction slide in a 3-minute, I would recommend either 5 bullets that are easily spelled out, or they're organized in a way that somebody can quickly go through them. There's 3 traction elements. One is that we've won a couple of competitions. Number 2 is that our product is ready to go because we've done these things, and maybe like fundraising or something like that, or revenue, right? Something that you know about the traction. A time like this is really hard to do in 3 minutes, but I'll let you know, this is kind of like letting you know about how things are organized, so it's easier to read, right? So I have up here 100K to 500K subscribers, 500K pre-seed to, a 5 million ARR. So interesting that it kind of allows me to understand, okay, they've grown. That's all it really says at the very top. Then at the very bottom, I organize it too. It's like, okay, C Corp established 2019. Okay, they're 2022. Interesting. They've been around for a while. 200 customer discovery calls. Oh, they think about lean startup. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. the investor is like, okay, they know what they're talking about. And then 2 years later, they have premium features. They have $1 million in revenue, and they raise a $1.5 million seed from Techstars, Golden Seas, and Halogen, right? This is a repeat information of, let's say, the ask slide, but still you can organize it in a way that people can easily read it and move on to the next slide. Next up is I added this as satisfied customers because a lot of people who have SaaS based companies go from a service-based business to more enterprise accounts and enterprise platform sales. And sometimes you can put something like this, satisfied customers, because we have 100% retention rate and we have 50 enterprise accounts that are going to go from a service-based kind of process to a platform process. So this is one way to kind of showcase that traction that you have, which is really great. Another reason why I added this is that sometimes in tech slides, there's no like real like connection to the customer. And this is one way that you can actually add a testimonial in there from a real customer. And you see how it says Hilltop Bank. Oh, I remember that their Sam or Tam, yeah, their SOM actually was a bank. Oh, I'm connecting the dots for somebody, right? So there's little ways that you can connect the dots easily so that at the end, the person has a complete picture of what you're doing. Next up is an initial beachhead market is banks. These are the banks that we're going to go after. Very clear. This was something for this founder that in the traction slides, she was getting a little bit lost of people. Who are you going after? She said, well, I'm going to go after some banks that we're going to go after first as beachhead markets. And then, expanded markets are import, export, healthcare, and insurance. Again, these two slides that I talked about right now are probably not going to be your 3 minute, but I just gave you these as examples for talking about beachhead and expanded. Next up is the team. I have it in 2 slides, this one and the next one. And I want to walk you through it so that you understand why I did it this way. For a 3 minute, typically you're going to have the team and maybe your advisors at the very bottom. You can have it like this, but you're going to go through the second slide super fast, right? If you're doing a 3 minute. If you have a 10 minute, you go through a little bit slower. I opted to do the 2 co-founders back to back, and that they were in these companies, not that each one is in this company and this company. It's just overall, they know what they're talking about. It's Slack, which is a platform play. Oracle and Sony is like, okay, we understand how to, market companies and support companies. Next is the team and advisors. So I get this question a lot of like, how do I communicate that I have a full-time team? Or how do I showcase that some of them are contractors and not? So you can, again, organize the information so that you can easily communicate. This is our team of, directors, and this is our team of contractors, or this is our team. And you can say, you don't have to say that they're contractors or not, or part-time, full-time, and all of that. I've also seen, I'm the co-founder. I have this fantastic team that's ready to be deployed. They've been working with us volunteer-wise or sweat equity. And as soon as we obtain this pre-seed funding, they're all coming on full-time. That's a great story. That's great. So you can work with this in different ways, but you can organize it so that you can talk about it very, very easily. So this is organized of, these are the full-time employees with stock options and 50 years of combined experience. Typically there's like different logos here. I opted to put all the logos on this side for the advisors. I could have probably did the same thing on this side for the team, so that you can see overall, wow, they're coming from different industries, different corporations, and they're going to breathe into this company. So the advisors are right here. I labeled them also as, this is enterprise business development, and this one is a tech advisor, and this is a legal advisor. So easily I can obtain like, oh, they're supported as a startup in different, in their team and in their advisors. Traction here is, this is actually taken from another pitch deck that I liked how they did it. It was organized originally just in squares in their pitch, and I just used the same type of thing with the logo. Is that, they had a demo day at Techstars. They had Denise Dow picked as one of 2022 Forbes 30 under 30. Feature on top 100 enterprise solutions, won second place, strategic partner secured with this, with exit potentials in these 2. So you can, in this kind of one breath, right, be able to say, look, we have the traction of pitching, of getting our partnerships in place, and really having some exit potentials. Next up is financial snapshot. Again, this is just a screenshot from the internet. So you can showcase it like that. Usually it's a hockey stick that we all know. I like it whenever, let's say, if you're going to have a hockey stick in like 2025, sometimes you can do like a little asterisk here saying, this is when we're going to go to like Amazon sales, or this is when we're going to go from, small companies that we're selling to our first huge enterprise customer in 2025. So you can annotate the financials. So there's something that breaks up that hockey stick. And then usually I like 2 bullets on the side saying, this is what I'm trying to communicate to you. This is one of my favorite slides, is the fundraising. So this fundraising, or the ask slide, I like having typically a pie chart on the right-hand side that says a little bit about the use of funds: new hires, sales and marketing, tech dev, and customer service. Based on the stage of your company, this should make sense. Let's say in pre-seed, you're looking at more like product development. And seed, you're looking at a little bit more scale. So you're really looking at new hires. And then in Series A, typically it's like the sales and marketing, really making sure that we're touching those customers and making sure that we're really ramping up for scale. And there might be some great new hires there. So knowing what the stages are in where you are, and that needs to make sense in the pie chart and in the industry that you're in. Okay. On the left-hand side, it's pretty typical. You have, where are you? Pre-seed, seed, or Series A? How much are you raising? What, 500,000, 1 million, 1.5, 2, 3. I like always saying can oversubscribe in this little thing, because that means that you have a board. That means that you have board approval to oversubscribe. What that entails to an investor is like, oh, they have a board. They figured that out. That founder was able to convince people to be part of their board. Wow, this founder is pretty cool. Like, they have been able to do a lot already. And that's more governance, but still it's showcasing governance. It's not just not showcasing anything. So those are little tricks. It's a convertible note. It could be a safe. It could be equity, whatever that is. You want to showcase that. And then the last bit is 50% committed by. The reason why I add this is that if you have commitments from investors, you want to say that you are committed, right? That you have $1 million committed. You have 50% committed. I used the 50% because I didn't want to say that I only had 1.5 million committed, because then it's like 1.5, 3 million. It sounds better, 3 million, 50% committed. I just feel like that kind of allows you to showcase yourself a little bit more. I've convinced 50% of my round to invest in me. That sounds better than I've convinced $1 million or 500,000. So it allows for one dollar amount to be shown on the slide, which is the most important. How much are you raising? And then everything is percentages and stuff like that. So that's a little bit of a trick. And the commitment by, I gave you 4 examples. These are examples for me as an investor. That means a lot, right? So Crescent Ridge is my partner VC that I know both of the partners. I'm like, wow, they committed. I didn't know that. That's cool. Latitude is a Latino facing VC that invests in only Latino founders. Oh, interesting. The founder's Latina. I'm Latina, so I'm like, great, this is awesome. I see that they're invested in them. That means that they're connected with them through their race directives. Then it's like Rethink Impact is a very heavy impact investing VC that invests only in Series A. So I'm like, oh, interesting. They invested? Wow. They must have a really good impact track in the company, because they would not invest if there's no impact metrics in the startup. Then Techstars, obviously they went through an accelerator, and I know they give Techstars 5% of their company already. So there's a lot to just the words on this slide that tells me as an investor, wow, there's stuff going on here, and I'm in or I'm out, right? And then the last one is contact us. So a lot of times this is missing. So you want to just have how you're going to contact you by email. This is my logo again. And then the last one is the executive summary. I promised to go through this. So you'll see that I have 5 bullets here. So Fun Fab Fit AI has created a value prop for new future of work industry and built a platform to provide efficient services for businesses. We have 50 enterprise accounts, 100% retention rate, 1 million year-to-date revenue in 2022. We have the EBITDA. We have 1.5 committed of a 3 million Series A by Techstars and others. And then, and this follow-on right here is important because Techstars invests in companies that are 5% with a certain amount of money. If they follow on in their investment, it means that you've hit milestones that allows for them to say, I want to invest again. I'm going to follow on. That means a lot to me as an investor, saying that, the company has done enough milestones that somebody actually reinvested in them. Interesting. I want to know more. Fun Fab Fit is led by dynamic and experienced leadership team. So I'm giving you, as a startup founder, in this last slide, investor, this is the reasons why you should invest in me. And typically some investors take that as the start of their due diligence. You want to make it easier for them to start that due diligence. You want to have it easier for them to say, yes, I want to know more, all of that. So hopefully this helped. I'm going to stop my share. Most of you, I'm pretty good. It's about an hour in. We can go back and talk about any of those slides for clarity, if anybody has any questions. And then we're going to go into having people pitch their 3-minute for some great feedback. So anybody has any questions on the slides? All questions are awesome. You can raise your hand. You can go off mute.
I have a question.
Yeah, Danny, go ahead.
If you already, like for me, I have an old pitch deck, right? And what you showed is completely phenomenal. I mean, like, man, it's great. And just to learn something of this magnitude over in a different way, right? From everybody has a different way as far as presenting a pitch deck or building a pitch deck. So what would you recommend for an old pitch deck that I have with all, because I have the TAM aspect, but not the SAM sum part of that. So how can I reiterate and reconstruct my pitch deck to have all of those components that you had prior?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a proponent of just chipping away little by little, right? Is that as entrepreneurs, you guys have so much on your plates and so much on what you have to do on a daily basis. So I always say, look at the pitch deck that you have now that that, let's say 12 slides. And I would say 12 slides, build them out. That might be like 20-minute pitch by the time you finish all 10 to 12 slides. That's okay, right? Like take the slides that you have right now because they're really robust, probably in exactly what you do, right? I can only imagine, right? So you're saying, okay, now that I saw this 10 to 12 pitch deck that I need to kind of create, see what you have and say, okay, for the first 2 or 3 slides, am I good? Did I explain myself in the problem and the solution that I have? I did okay, great, perfect. Now you're going to move on to each section of the pitch deck so that you can up level where you're at and then see where are you at. Then after you see where you're at, meet with an advisor here at the Brink and say, hey, I have my 15-page slide deck and I'm preparing for a 3-minute or I'm preparing for a 5-minute, or I just want to have like a whole deck of everything that I have. Can you go through it with me? And you can get some great feedback on where you're at. I think with that approach, you're doing it off of what's the low-hanging fruit that I'm not being overwhelmed by creating a whole new pitch deck. Do what you have, low-hanging fruit, making sure that you're doing small pieces that like if you don't know the SAM and SOM, that's okay. If you don't know how to calculate it, that's what we're here for. But if you have a TAM, great. Where did you get it? What's your source? Is that like a source now? Can you get more data? So you're like up leveling everything at the same time and seeing if you have a more polished pitch deck. Does that make sense? Is that easy to kind of grab onto?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so the executive summary, Mohan's saying is not executive summary a bit long? Well, as I mentioned, the executive summary is just a recap of all of the slides. So it's not that you're going to read through it. You're just going, the trick is you want to have something like this so that when somebody asks you about Q&A, let's say you have 3 minutes of a pitch and you have 5 minutes of Q&A. If you have that executive summary, click, click, up there the entire time that you're doing the Q&A, do you think they're going to read it? Yes, they will. They have 5 minutes to read it. So it's more of that you're not going to read the executive summary. It's an appendix, right? Or it's the end of your slide deck. You don't even have to have it if you don't want to. A true executive summary is a 1-pager that is more long, and you send ahead with the pitch deck and the executive summary. And the executive summary has kind of everything listed, the team and all of this. So that's just an executive summary for 5 bullets for the slides that you just went through. Yeah, so it would take 2 to 3 minutes to even read the bullets. And I read them and it took me 15 seconds. So that's I'm saying the executive summary is just a summary of the slides that you just went through. And it's more of a not a trick, but a opportunity to have that in front of the audience for a lot longer. And you don't even have to have an executive summary. Some people don't even have it. I just like it because as an investor, I take that executive summary and I start the due diligence. So it allows me to say, I like this startup. Let me take that, start my due diligence and actually get closer to funding. It's more like a process play. Does that help you, Mohan? Perfect. Okay. Somebody else has any questions, or we're just going to go into a 3-minute pitch? Do you have any questions? Okay. Who would like to volunteer to do a 3-minute pitch so we can hear you, look at the slides, and give you some great feedback? I'm going to see if I can find it. Anybody? Think you raise your hand. I'm trying to find another
Will the slides be from our own company or what you have presented?
Yeah, no, what you have already. Okay. And do a 3-minute. I'm trying to find on YouTube a let me just do this. Give me 1 second. I'll try to find if I can find. Okay, here we go. I know some of these companies that pitched on this demo day. Oh, this one was really good. Give me 1 second. Do you want to see SaaS? Do you want to see what is this one? Oh yeah, that's a good one. SaaS also. Wiggle is healthcare. He does really good. Let me see who else is here. Yeah, let me do Wiggle. Give me a second. I'll do both of these. Okay, let me share my screen. Anybody else who wants to go? Okay, thank you, Ledam. SaaS. Okay, healthcare. Yeah, there's a healthcare SaaS right here. So he's really good, and she's really good. Wildcats. So Wildcats, you'll see what they pitch is a platform for creatives in the Southeast Asia. And they have a really wonderful community that really loves them, right? So they're pitching, and they had a really hard time. I helped them pitch prep and all that, so I know them really well. They had a really hard time with finding out how do you communicate to investors. They have a really robust community that will pay them, that will be the engines of them launching into Southeast Asia. The second one was healthcare. It's a doctor who said, you know what, I'm going to create this new platform for helping with long-term like care. Like if you need an ergonomic chair, you should get one. And the insurance pays for it. So I'll give you what time is it? Okay, we have enough time. Yeah. Wildcats first. And it might be a 5-minute. I don't know what, I think it's 3 or 5, but I will share this really quick. Give me a second. And then we'll evaluate what you guys like about it. Okay. Can you guys hear it? Can somebody say that they hear it or not?
No, I cannot.
You cannot hear it? I stopped it, but when it was playing, you couldn't hear it?
I didn't hear anything.
Good afternoon.
Yes, now yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will play it then. Thank you so much.
My name is Melissa. I'm CEO of Wildcats, and our mission is to unleash Gen Z. This is an incredibly entrepreneurial generation that is game-changing the economic engine for emerging markets and neighborhoods. Did you know that there's 111 million Gen Zs with side hustles in the US and Southeast Asia? In the US, 40% of Gen Zs are starting up their own businesses. And where we're launching in Southeast Asia, that number is 70%, and it's growing 54% year over year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future of work. We actually got started with Gen Z entrepreneurs. Our roots are in running startup challenges and venture builds supported by corporate sponsors. In our first year, we launched in 8 countries, and we've gone viral in over 18 million impressions. And we've worked hands-on with 3,000 Gen Z entrepreneurs. So what have we learned in this time? Well, there's pain points. First is that when you're a young entrepreneur just starting out, you don't actually know where to start. In fact, for many, the side hustle is their first job. And then they're shocked to find out that actually being an entrepreneur is quite lonely. And finally, there's just not enough patience to learn. They just know that someone's got a hack somewhere. So of course, everybody is scrolling TikTok, of course, watching the lawnmower guy try to give advice on how to start up your business. So we're like, we think we can do better. That was an interesting one though, about entrepreneurs helping each other. So we tried to figure that one out. Our first MVP was launched this spring with human bingo marketplaces, which is approximating entrepreneur platforms. Like what happens when you put a whole bunch of young businesses together? Well, they were really hungry. We were oversubscribed by 198 companies for just 90 slots. 3 weeks ago, Wildcats just launched with the Entrepreneur Powerhouse, where you can find the exact tools that you need, created by more experienced entrepreneurs. So those 3 pain points from before, not knowing where to start, now you can get a startup kit. Feeling lonely? Well, join a very vibrant and supportive Wildcats community. And remember all of that TikTok scrolling? Well, that's actually just the tip of the iceberg that we are massively uncovering. All that hidden expertise of the long tail end of small business entrepreneurship, we're now transforming into virtual products. I know we're really quite early stage, but in our first 12 days of launching, we've already onboarded 300 visitors with over 10% sales conversion. This is all without spending a single marketing dollar. We make money in 3 ways. First, we bring them all in with startup kits at about average $25 a kit. And as they join the Wildcats community and are supported by relationships and knowledge, they build up their confidence and their businesses and can actually subscribe to the entrepreneurs who are helping them the most. In the future, we want to deepen these relationships and knowledge transfer by launching one-on-one consultations and side gigs between the members. So what's going on in the marketplace? All of these, the needs of this generation's hustlers is not being met right now by places like LinkedIn, TikTok, and Masterclass. In fact, LinkedIn's own Summit Global last year named Southeast Asia as the company's top priority growth market and Gen Z as the fastest growing segment. And then they named TikTok as their biggest competitor. This is all because of that entrepreneurial X factor. By way of market validation, we also track a competitor called WAP.com, which also does virtual product entrepreneur marketplace. They have done $130 million in just 2 years after their launch. This is a team that has built startups, brands, and communities. We are Delaware C Corp. I was Warren MBA's Social Impact Fellow and also co-president of Warren Christian Fellowship. I have 20 years of experience in the C-suite of startups, launching consumer, retail, fintech, banking, AI, robotics, and edtech. My amazing team has 10 plus years of go-to-market experience at places like L'Oreal and Moet Hennessy. And our Gen Z staff, you know, the real bosses, are bona fide Instagram entrepreneurs and influencers in their own right with over 30,000 followers. This is the team that's seeking $500,000 for 12 months of runway. In our first 3 months, we want to onboard more than 100 sellers in time for December holiday launch. And at 6 months, we will be onboarding 25% new users monthly and partnership with Tiny Chain, our cohort mate that you just heard, who is going to streamline a highly efficient and cost-effective engineering for us to be able to build out our scalability features. And that's to support 10 months monthly active users at the 12-month timeframe. Our investor includes an amazing Fortune 1000 CEO named Khalid Bhirombhakdi, and we're so thankful for his support. He supports Wildcats because he knows that we are surfing this tidal wave of Gen Z entrepreneurship, and we invite you to join us today in unleashing Gen Z. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, that's a little bit longer than 3 minutes. I thought it was me 3 minutes. So, but did you see all of the elements that we just talked about? You saw the business model, you saw the market, you saw the problem in the marketplace, you saw the solution. What is it? It's a platform. She talked about consumers. She talked about what's going on there outside in the marketplace, LinkedIn, TikTok. She talked about what her ask is of how much is she raising, and she ends with like, thank you, and this is what we're all about. So any comments from anybody about how that went?
It was very good. As you said, it covers all the points that you mentioned in the slide that you presented before. One thing it just for me was not, I was thinking more about the solution they offer. So
Okay.
how much they have, or we have to get into the solution itself, to the details about that. Because to me, I listened to her, but it was not very clear for me that what is the exact solution. Is such a thing needed or not?
Yeah. You touched on things that they spent like the whole accelerator. I was a mentor and an instructor for that accelerator. It's called Ocean. And she had a really hard time because it's a platform, but what do they give them, right? Do they give them a community? Do they give them the kits that she talked about? Is it like resources and education and connection to themselves? So one thing with Gen Z is that they want to connect with everybody. They want to be like a social network. They want to also learn, but in bite-sized chunks and all of that. So it's really hard. It was very hard for her to kind of walk through that and see what does that look like and what's the actual solution. So you hit like their biggest pain point of the whole accelerator was like, how do we explain this to, you know, and we know how it works. Like they know that they get the traction that they need. And then you heard a little bit of like, we've done the startup challenges, we've done this bingo thing, we've done these things to validate that something's there, but they haven't transferred to what's that something, and this is what we're doing consistently. And that's why they're a pre-seed company. So that's why we actually were talking to them, all the mentors, like, you should say you're early stage. You see her that she goes, oh, we're really early stage, we know, but we've done all these things, because they were pitching at first like, we are such a huge company, and they're like, but what are you? Right. So that's how they kind of neutralize that piece of
I
people
see.
not understanding that. And then you asked something else too.
No, that was it. The
Yeah.
what level they need to go, because
Yeah.
I now it's interesting that you said that they were in earlier stage, but the way that they're explaining, it didn't come to me that it's
Yeah.
very early. So because they didn't go through that one. So okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's hard to do. I mean, they were about 10 minutes, I think. I didn't track them, but that's easier to say in 10 minutes. But with a 3-minute, that's why it's like problem, blah, blah, blah. Solution is, if you say, well, we give them this and we give them that, you still don't understand what that thing is. That's why I recommended in the slides, it's like, just say, it is an enterprise software platform that does this, right? And you feel stupid because you're like, that's like preschool. Like, how do I say that to an investor and then not feel like I'm like, yeah, I'm
Expanding.
diminishing them, right? But
Mhm.
that's the reason, because you're like, at the end, you're like, I still don't know what they do, right? So you want to be upfront saying, this is exactly what we do, and then describe what it is on the slide, maybe a second slide if you need to kind of go into a little bit more, but really you're staying pretty high level. That was the other question I know that you had. It's like, it seems like it was a little bit high level. You really still don't know what they do. So that 3-minute pitch is more of like, you want to give them enough information, like lob it over to them so that they're like, oh, I want to know more. Like, what is that platform? It's a fine line to say, I don't know what they do and I don't want to learn more, or I'm intrigued of what they do. I don't know all that they do, but I want to know more. That's very like, that's a very like,
Yeah, it's a very gray zone,
very
but you need to
gray.
find it. Depends on your audience, that how much you need to okay. Now that was great.
So I know somebody else asked about like, what's the story? Seb, you asked that. It's like, that story is really important, because you're right in that fine line of saying, I'm going to give them enough, and I'm giving them enough story that they're intrigued. They love who I am. But I'm not going to give them everything, because I can't. I have 3 minutes. I have to get through the whole like business model and ask and team and all this. And then you're like, okay, but I gave them enough to be like, oh, what is it that you guys are doing? What are the questions that I want to do? So it's not easy, entrepreneurs and founders. I'm always like, I'm going to help you as much as I can, but you're going to have to have somebody can be convinced of what you're, pitching.
Oh, great.
It's not easy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, definitely not easy.
It's not. I mean, and people are like, oh yeah, I get to pitch. I'm like, well, that's why you come to these things and say like, oh, I heard it this way. Oh, I'm hearing it another way. Or, I need to work on it. Like, Danny's like, oh, I need to work on mine. Great, work on it. Right. Everybody's working on their pitches. It's a hard journey.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on that? Because we have the healthcare one he's very good pitcher. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next one. I might have to, because he's really good. I like him. Okay, zoom back here. Okay, just want to make sure everybody is taken care of here. Oh, that's why I don't see it. When you have something in full view, you can't go back to it. So give me 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Zoom. I'm going to share screen. Here we go. Share. Full screen. Okay. And I'm gonna go like this. Oh, so here, you saw this, Mohan, for you. So let me just play this.
Our investor includes an amazing Fortune.
So this right here is that takeaway. And I worked on them with this executive summary. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets, not 5. People are not going to read the whole thing. She is not reading this, but this is what she leaves people with in the huge screen is future of work up to 70%, long tail end of small business expertise, benchmark competitor with 130 million transactions, an experienced team with track record going viral with target audience. And if I play it right now,
1,000 CEO named
it goes into like when they're playing this on YouTube, this executive summary shows up. I know somebody had a chat. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Mohan, it does.
And we're so thankful for his support.
This is the healthcare one.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I want everyone to stand up. We've been having some amazing pitches come up and we've been listening to them. It's time to take a little bit of a break here. We're gonna do a little stretch break. So I'm gonna have everyone tighten your core, tighten your glutes a little bit. We're gonna have our palms raising forward and we're gonna go all the way up. Take a deep breath in. Yes, and exhale all the way out. Good, awesome. We're gonna do that one more time. Raise all the way up. Awesome, and exhale, come all the way down, have a seat there. Welcome, my name is Dr. Mason. I'm the founder and CEO of Wiggle Health. We help companies cut costs on work-related issues. And we do that by really giving their employees proactive solutions for their well-being. You see, that stretch you just did, I wish my mom would have had that stretch back in 2020. She actually suffered from a severe low back injury that actually caused her loss of consciousness while working. And she's the reason why I'm so passionate today about solving work-related injuries. But she's not the only one. For a better part of a decade now, I've had a front row seat in working in corporate healthcare. And I've seen a lot of the challenges that they've been faced with, particularly due to COVID. See, when COVID happened, we were forced to shift from this office set work to now more of a hybrid and more of a remote setting. And although that's brought flexibility for employees, brought problems for the employers. See, in 2021, work-related injuries skyrocketed. In fact, it was so bad that OSHA, our regulatory system here in America, had to start ramping up their workplace safety violation. Not to mention, PAGA claims have went at an all-time high. We haven't seen that since the 90s. And the reason for that is because the current solutions for ergonomics and musculoskeletal care for the workplace, it's outdated. It's not feasible. And it's really what's driving the cost of the market size. It's projected to go up to about $120 billion by 2030. But with Wiggle, our solutions are going to transform the health and safety of the modern day workspace. And we do that by leveraging machine learning along with integrating to wearables to help us to early detect signs and risk factors of work-related injuries. But we didn't stop there. We knew that HR managers, they need better data, especially working in a hybrid workforce. So what we did was we created a platform just for them so that they can get predictive analytics for that they can help with prevent work-related injuries, as well as make sure that we can reduce compliance cost. And our model is very simple. We start off by providing an annual licensing fee. We have a clear formula to penetrate the mid-sized market. We're still an early stage company, but we've made some big waves. We just finished a paid pilot with some of the industry leading giants, such as Amazon, as well as Meta. We're onboarding 2 companies as of this month, and we have 6 tech companies in our pipeline. And to continue that momentum and really make sure we hit our goals, we're fundraising for a $750K. What this is going to allow us to do is ramp up our sales and marketing, as well as focus on product development. And so I'm accompanied by some amazing people, and we've had so much experience within not only healthcare, tech, but also some exit for over a decade now. My designer actually designed the NVIDIA logo. Our CTO has been in tech for over 10 plus years, working at companies like IBM, Google, as well as Miston Labs. Our workplace manager has worked in workplace management for Atlassian, Human Success Factors, as well as Microsoft. And so in closing, I'm really asking you to come join us on this journey. help us make work-related injuries a thing in the past. Thank you very much.
Perfect. That was a little bit shorter. So you saw that he, I mean, you really want to make more, like know more. He could go into like competitors and this and that, but he really kept it very short. Any comments or things that you saw that you're like, oh yeah, I like that.
It was
Yeah,
very good. So I didn't go, as you said, because of the, I think the time was shorter, didn't go through much of the things, but keep us curious. And also, I like the way that he stated the problem statement. It just cut very natural, so everybody can relate to it and connect to it. I think it's one of the important part to kind of emotionally connecting to the people on your idea. I think he did very well on that one. There are lots of questions right now how they want to write it, but I think this is the whole purpose of the thing, to make people curious for the next step.
yeah. Janine, I did see your hand raised, so just give me a second. I also, he had a challenge too of like the platform could be something that people at companies would not want HR to find out about, like that they have a back problem or something like that. So that's something that he wanted to make sure that they are talking about, that it is, the patient-centric approach, but making sure that HR departments have it and they can really give that as an added benefit to their employees. So you didn't see it a lot in the pitch, but you saw that it was very friendly, that it was not like, oh, it's just a B2B play. So that was something that he was working on.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that would be a tricky thing.
Yeah, it is tricky, right? And you saw how like succinct he was about his team. We've been boom, boom, boom. This is what we're doing. He didn't even go into the advisors because he wanted to go a little bit faster. The other point was the business model. I really liked it. Let me just go back to that piece there. There's a couple things that I liked about what he was doing here. Oh, where is it? Wait. Oh, right there. There we go. Let me share this again. I'll come to you, Janine. Give me a second. Is this right here, this size of the market, it's work related, and he has it very nicely delineated here. And the other thing I really liked was this one. I really liked the annual licensing fee. You see how it's like 3 circles, and the go-to-market plan is right there. Super easy to understand. You followed him, but this was a supplement to this understanding of where he's going into. You might not need to know all the details, but oh, it's organized. He knows what he's talking about. He's talked to his customer. And then the other thing was a traction slide. If you noticed, it was just these are like 6 squares that wow, paid pilots, onboarding, revenue, partnerships. If you don't see anything else, you don't see any logos or anything, you don't even listen to him, you at least get an idea of, oh, he has these things organized as his traction pieces. So he did a very good job in that one. I think that was one of my favorites. Okay, Janine.
Oh, there we go. Hi. I thought he was a great storyteller and immediately felt relatable, engaged with the audience. And I thought the pacing was great. He spoke slowly. It was really easy to understand. And I loved how, I think at least 3 different times he said, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. It was great. And definitely left me wanting to hear more about it.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're satiated. You're like, okay, I want to know more. He left that enough that you had that like, his credibility was there because he said doctor at the very beginning, right? You're like, oh shoot, doctor, that's cool. Oh, he's building a business. Wow. Okay. He hasn't told me everything in the kitchen sink, but he's given me enough for me to be like, hey, I want to know about the whole kitchen, right? I want to know how you built the whole kitchen. So really good thing. He also used a technique. We haven't really talked about techniques of like just giving a talk at the very beginning. You see how he says, stand up, everybody. This is, raise up your hands. This is what the what the app actually does. I don't know if you really connected. He didn't do as good as other times I saw him pitch, of like connecting that with like, this is actually what we ping people for on the app. Like, let's say you're sitting down for a really long time, it pings you saying, get up and do this exercise. So you get up, you do your exercise, you're like, okay, because your hands are hurting or your back's hurting. So that's kind of the connection with what he asked you to do at the very beginning in the audience and his actual product. The other thing that he did really, really well is give a story of his mother. This is why we're doing it. So it's not just like you said, Janine, like, we're going to do it this way and let me explain it to you. It's more of like, this is what motivates us. This is the passion that we have. And this is why we've executed on the product that's out there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Mohan said that too. Personal problem relating to the business is super important. So that's good. Okay. I have we can go through one more. I think we have time for maybe one or two more. But anybody who wants to give their 3 minutes or even their 10 minutes, you're still, I'm still ready for you. I did meet with one of my clients this morning, really early. I started at 6 a.m. with my clients. And I said, are you going to be there tonight? He goes, yes. And he's not here. And he says, I'm going to be ready for it. So, I know you guys have so much stuff to do, but it was just funny how we were talking about that. I'm like, oh, you need to like volunteer. So, no problems. We will watch another one if you guys don't mind, because I think it's important to see other companies. Let me see. The other one is, he doesn't do a good job. Let's see, what's the last one? Oh, that's nothing there. Okay, let me go back this way. I'm gonna have, this one was a very, very, very early stage. Who's early stage here? You can put it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, great. Ladan and okay, great. Oh, Lorene, yes, I know. Danny, yes, perfect. Yes, perfect. Yeah. So this one is very interesting. You'll hear it in his, but he's like super brilliant. So he wants to, and he started off, I love this one. So so the company's called Tiny Chain. And he is a really heavy coder, like just crazy. And at first, whenever he was pitching, we were like, you are brilliant, but we don't have no clue what you're doing. I mean, brilliant. Like, I will like throw you money. As investors, we're like, you're amazing. And it took him the whole accelerator to really understand, wow, like this is a business. How do I build a business? He basically was like, at first it was more like, this is just an open source project. Have you heard that people say like, well, it's just a project, people, or just a product, or what are you thinking about doing a not-for-profit? It's kind of like that. He had all of those things being thrown at him. He goes, okay, I need to get myself situated. And he ended up with an incredible pitch. And he already had customers at the very end of the demo day. So just amazing transformation. And you'll see that there's still a little bit of that well, there's a lot of the coder in him trying to figure out really, really early stage, doesn't have a customer yet at this demo day. So I think it will resonate with a lot of you guys. Let me share the screen and do it this way.
I don't hear anything. I don't know if there's sound.
Oh, there is sound. Thank you, Lorene. Let me stop sharing and share again. It was just like music. Let me start do it again. Oh, I always do this mistake.
Good afternoon. My name is
Do you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hayden. I'm the founder of Tiny Chain. Tiny Chain is an open source runtime for cloud services. If you're not sure what that means, don't worry, because no one does. It's the first of a new category of things. So let me take a minute and explain what that means. So a runtime in computer science just refers to the platform that makes sure that your apps still run the same, even on a different device. So for example, when you get a new smartphone, the Android or the iOS runtime is what makes sure that the App Store can install all your old apps and they still work the same, even on a new device. The reason why there is no App Store for cloud services, meaning software that runs on a server, is because there is no standard runtime for cloud services. So this has some very practical consequences for you as investors, because if you invest in a software as a service company, that means that most of your dollars going into each individual company are going to pay a team of developers to write functionally the same code to tie together each of the services in their tech stack. And the reason that I know that is because that was my job when I worked at venture-backed startups in New York. Most of those venture dollars went to pay developers like me to write the same glue code over and over and over again. When I started at Goldman Sachs, I was shocked to find that they did things the same way, even though practically all of their services were developed in-house. In order to get into Google, I had to pass a battery of tests to make sure that I could push forward the state of the art in data structure and algorithm and systems design, only to find that my job there was the same thing, to just write the same glue code over and over and over again to glue together the different internal services at Google. So TinyChain is the solution. It's first of all a solution for developers to make sure they're not writing that same repetitive code over and over again. It's a solution for their employers to make sure they're not spending a lot on a little, and it's a solution for their investors to make sure that their investment dollars are not just immediately flowing out to someone else as revenue. And TinyChain achieves that by formalizing existing ad hoc standards at the protocol level to automate away that manual coding task of service integration. So right now we're in phase 1 of our business development strategy, which is charging for support. That's the same business model as a lot of open source databases, like MongoDB is probably the most well-known. We've generated about $30,000 in revenue so far. We want to take that up to about $50,000 in monthly recurring revenue before shifting our focus to phase 2, which is charging for hosting. We have a waiting list of several early stage startups, 3 accelerator programs, and a scientific advisory firm. For stage 2, we are also working with a professional network of CTOs to develop that pipeline further. We believe we can take that up to about 100K in monthly recurring revenue before shifting focus to stage 3, which is our long-term revenue driver, which is just collecting a share of the revenue that's flowing through the App Store. So our next step is to seed the ecosystem with the first foundational services that our customers will use to build their products, which includes our user and group identity management service that powers our distributed chain of custody for cloud data. Also includes utilities to train and serve machine learning models that are auditable based on that identity data, as well as to deploy those services to customer data centers and still do metered billing, even though they're running in the customer data center. A great case study in how the business works today is Wildcats. It's a company that serves first-time entrepreneurs in the US and Southeast Asia. Wildcats needed original features, meaning they couldn't just plug in an off-the-shelf API, and TinyChain is able to offer those features at 1/10 of the market cost, primarily due to our savings in terms of development and operation costs, but also because the lifetime value of Wildcats as a customer isn't just their initial development spending, it's also revenue from hosting, phase 2, and it's also revenue from other companies using the same apps that were originally developed for Wildcats via the App Store in phase 3. Those problems that TinyChain solves are big unsolved problems in the industry. So I'm sure you've all heard this year about ChatGPT. What you may not know is that when it came out, ChatGPT was actually banned at a lot of big companies. It was even banned for a while in the entire country of Italy. Even the enterprise version of ChatGPT is still banned today at a lot of big companies like JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Northrop Grumman, companies that have very specific regulatory requirements for how they share data even within the company. And that's because ChatGPT does not keep track of the data that it collects. Another company with a very similar problem that you may have heard of is Facebook. Facebook has paid on average $1 billion per year in fines for 6 years running. They paid over $300 million in fines just so far this year because they keep losing track of parts of their consumer data set. So we've raised about $75,000 so far. We're raising a further $175,000. That's primarily to develop that initial set of services for the App Store, but it's also to develop our UI toolkit and formalize our sales pipeline. It's been an incredible journey so far, watching our open source project come together from an all volunteer staff of contributors, but we're just getting started with TinyChain. I want to invite you all to come on this journey with us as we become the catalyst for our customers to fulfill their mission. Thank you. I'll be around all day. Please come talk to me. Thank you.
Okay. So comments. He did have revenue, but that was my only thing. Lorene?
Oh, yeah, he seemed, I mean, it was pretty clear. I'm not a techie person, but I thought he described whatever it was he was trying to convey. I get the term glue, so, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It took a while. He was going from glue to he had like picture of a city street, like all these city streets, saying like we are actually the one that are going to make all the roads in the city of, you know, what's it called? The sources, the source code that they have. So he was trying to think about blue, city chains, city this. I mean, it was just very interesting how he went from one to the other. So this is how he ended up. But as an investor, it's like, well, he knows what he's doing. Like, you know, brilliant, doing good, has some revenue coming in. He does have a business model of some sort, but he needs to prove a little bit more, right? So.
yeah, I thought it was interesting too, like the big companies that he was referring to, Goldman Sachs and that.
Yeah.
And that's
But
impressive.
that kind of allowed you to know that it's like upfront, right? Is like what does he bring to the table? Is he legitimate? Do you feel like he was legitimate even at the very beginning?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, and if he said that at the very end, would you have like listened to him?
Yeah, I think the Goldman Sachs really legitimized him as a person.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, well, how would he get a job there unless he was qualified? So, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's just interesting, you know, that's why I was asking you, is because it's like, okay, it's interesting, like we were talking at the very beginning, is like, do you put your team slide at the very beginning or at the very end? This is one,
Yeah.
not that he had like a team slide, right? It's more of like at the very beginning, he legitimizes himself. And it's only him, like it's nobody else working with him. So I think he did not include it. I'm just thinking about it. No, he didn't, right? At the very end? I don't think so. Let me see.
The whole time, I think he only referred to the people that he worked with.
Yeah, no, yeah, he didn't have a team slide
Yeah.
because it's just one person. So that's another like kind of trick, is that if you are one person and you have a 3-minute pitch, you don't, let's say if you don't have a team slide, it opens you up to a little bit more of like, well, what is your team? But
Yeah.
he kind of legitimized himself at the very beginning, that people are like, oh, okay, it might be a Q&A at the end, right? Saying like, what is your team? And he can talk about that. That's why I said at the very beginning, it's like, it's how much you leave into the deck is equally as important as what you leave out of the deck, right? Because if you leave in the piece of team, then you know they're okay with it. But if you leave it out, that's going to be your first question, and you kind of are controlling that. If you don't have Q&A, like he didn't have Q&A, you're leaving it open. So he's like, "Come talk to me."
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Any other comments? Suggestions? Insights? Anybody want to pitch? Now that you've seen 3 and you're like, I got this. Jeff? No. Off mute, on mute. I'm like, okay, I'm watching everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the reason you're not getting people to pitch is because we're signing up to learn how to do this in your format.
Yeah, no problem.
So, is there any chance you can have a follow-on session where we would just try the pitch, work
Yeah, of
the deck
course.
to a point?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Stephen and I are like a team. It's like if we want to do another one and say, okay, now that you have a little, yeah, thanks, Jeff. If you want to kind of try out the pitch deck and create something and come back and pitch later, that's fine. That's great. Jeff, thank you for that insight. It's like I just want people, if they do have something, it's like you can and get some feedback, and there's probably time to like one more pitch from the ocean demo day if you guys want to go through it. But thank you for that, Jeff.
I could pitch mine. I haven't done it in like 2 months.
Yeah, that's great.
But I mean, I'm happy to go through and like go through my pitch deck.
Yeah, you can.
Should I just share my screen and
Yeah,
start
share your
going?
screen and let's look at it.
It's at the bottom, green.
Just let me know if you can. Oh, whoops, I gotta hit the share.
Yep, there we go. We see
Okay.
it.
You do see it. Okay, let
Yep.
me just move you guys over. And I hope I know how to move through this. Okay. So if you have ever had a loved one in hospice, you know you would do whatever you could to provide the best care possible. I know I did for my father and my aunt. My name is Lorene Ryan, and I am the founder of Golden Fish Industries. Oral care is often overlooked in hospice care, leading to discomfort, tooth decay, decreased quality of life, and higher costs of care. 25% of patients experience oral complications and 30% experience malnutrition. The caregiver, while they may brush the patient's teeth, has no safe way of removing toothpaste, foam, and water for those who are not able to rinse on their own. This leads to patients not receiving basic daily oral care. Can you imagine not having your teeth brushed for a week or a month? That's the plight of the hospice patient. Our solution is a stylish shaped device that sprays water into the mouth while simultaneously removing water and toothpaste foam, allowing for safe and efficient oral care. The benefits of this device is that it maintains oral health for our loved ones in hospice, reduces pain and discomfort associated with oral issues, promotes overall better nutrition, higher brain function, and increased comfort and well-being. The hospice market in the US had a revenue of $37 billion in 2022. Due to the growing geriatric population, this will more than double to $84 billion by 2030. We project that of those, 20% will need this product, representing $6.6 billion, and we will be able to reach 20% of that market, or $13.2 million. The CAGR for the hospice industry between 2022 and 2032 is 8.7%. Our business model is B2B, direct sales to hospice and home care, B2B, direct sales to caregivers, and B2C, direct sales to loved ones. Currently available on the market is the popsicle sponge, which does not remove plaque and is a choking hazard, the toothbrush, which removes plaque and leaves foam and debris in the mouth, a water pick that puts water into the mouth but does not remove water or toothpaste foam, and finally, the Yoncower, which is for secretion suction and could technically be used to remove water from the mouth, but is not a realistic solution. Our attraction is a provisional patent, a 3D printed prototype, and a friends and family raise of $28,000. Based on our initial customer discovery, we are finding that oral care is difficult in hospice and home healthcare settings. Oral care is often overlooked due to difficulty administering oral care to patients, and nurses and administrators are looking for solutions. Our team includes myself. I have 10 years experience as a dental assistant and front office manager, 4 years in public health research, and I'm a previous small business owner. Rick Gallinson has a degree in biomedical engineering and 30 plus years of engineering design build experience. And I, as advisors, have Dr. Silvia Ma and Mr. Benton Moore. Our initial ask is $350,000 with a SAFE agreement, a 20% discount, evaluation cap of $6 million, and a 5-year option. The majority of these funds will be used for final product development. Join me as we elevate the level of care available for our loved ones. My name is Lorene Ryan. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I mean, we've been working on it for a while. So it's great.
thank
Jeff,
you.
yeah, thank you, Steve. Oh, Steven's clapping. So nice. Thank you, Steven.
Oh, oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, I think it's very clear. I mean, I've seen it too many times. I know, but I think that the clarity of like the ask is really great at the very end. The product is, you know, always something that's like, well, we don't have like a true picture of it, right, in the final form. So that also will, like, for anybody who's early stage, that's hard, right? You're like, I can't show something, or I can show just a little bit of it, but you know, showcasing what you have is great. Oh, thanks, Danny. His little heart, so cute. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Love the love. Anybody else want to comment about it?
Is there any way that you could have, you know, your CAD drawings or something for the product to be able to
Yeah,
show it?
so that's interesting. I do have on my minute 30 pitch video, I actually do have the drawings
Oh.
of the product, but yeah, I just realized now while I'm going through this, like, oh, I didn't even bother with it here because I wasn't really sure with the patent and the design, but we decided somewhere along the way to just include it. So it is in a video, but yeah, it's a difficult concept to visualize too. So yeah, I do appreciate that a picture would be
Yeah.
a
And I
good
think the
idea.
CAD too, Jeff. I know that I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and like lawyers and all of that, is that sometimes it depends on how much you're saying in the CAD and if you have already like filed for your provisional or not. So that's a little bit of like a touchy subject for some entrepreneurs, that they're like, I don't want to show it. Some of them are like, I can show it all day long, right? And other ones like, well, I haven't patented. So that's a little bit of a tricky thing. Sometimes I say, you know what, can you do like a little caricature of like what it kind of looks like, so it's not really the full design, but you're getting a semi look at it, because you don't have it in your hand, you can't take a picture of it. So that's one way of kind of going between the lines.
Is it patented already?
So I had a provisional patent filed and we let that expire. The engineer that I'm working with didn't like the drawings that had come from the patent attorney. So he has built this entire thing and he has yeah, so we have to refile and sort of make sure that that's nailed down. But yeah. And with a bucket of water and then an empty bucket, we can actually use the product. But when they say minimum viable product, like it is
minimal. It's okay.
But it's something and you're doing it. That's a
yeah,
huge thing,
I mean,
you know? So what, yeah, well done.
It's a start.
Yeah, for sure. And Hari, I think that's what you say your name, but said here in the chat, you had me at dental hygiene for hospice care. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good testament.
You.
Lorraine and I have worked a lot, or Lorraine's working on like the value prop. What is it that and like what's that, like what are we, right? Dental hygiene for hospice care. You have a very clear picture. If you know, when Lorraine says that, I know where she's going. I know it's dental hygiene. I might want to know more, which is great, but that's something that's super easy. You get it, right? Instead of like, well, my product does cleaning and suction and this and that, and at the end of the pitch you're like, what is it, like is it like just a toothbrush? So that's what that clarity is super important.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lorraine, for sharing. And we have like 10 minutes left. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, so much. I love the love. We have about 10 minutes left. And if anybody has any other questions, go ahead. And I wanted to go back and just re-emphasize this. I think that I also, give me 1 second. Somebody said something about
I would love some help on as far as revamping my pitch deck, because as I look at all of the other ones, I'm like, oh nope, this is I got a lot of work to do.
It's okay. You
Yeah.
know, Steven's here and you can always meet with me. I'm an advisor at the Brink. So you can book time with me or other people to see what where you're at and see where we can help you get that you know, kind of solidified, you know, one step more.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I have this. I'm trying to find if I have that why you, why now product market fit. I know it's having somewhere. I'm looking at all of these. Do, 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 do. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find. One more look at another deck, and then if I don't have it here, then I won't. Yeah, okay. I don't have it. I'm just gonna go back to my original slide deck. Now that you've seen a longer one, you've seen a shorter one. We have like 7 more minutes. I want to just go back to this original presentation of the ultimate pitch deck template. And you saw that, you know, a lot of them have all of these slides or a combination of all of these things. But if you're looking at just that 3-minute, you saw like the opening, everybody had a you know, a cover or title or their logo, the problem, you know, what is the problem out there? They can't do this. They can't find the right solutions to build their companies. HR doesn't know how to serve their employees. The solution, oh, it's a platform, it's a this, it's a that. Market validation, there's a big market for this, either TAM, SAM, SOM, or some kind of big market validation of where you're at. You saw it at the one for Wildcats, is that Southeast Asia is huge, and also the US market's huge. So they used it that way. Then you saw a little bit of business model here and there. You saw one that was a circle plus a circle equals something else. You could do it as a base price plus premium. You can do, again, B2B and B2C. Love that. And then really you didn't see that much competition go to market strategy for the 3-minute, and then team. Either you have like, hey, this is the team that is leading it, or your team slide is at the very beginning saying, validating, hey, we rock. I know what I'm doing. I've been at Goldman Sachs. I've been at Google. I'm creating this thing. Slide 9 is traction. What have you done, right? At awards, you've done an event, you've talked to customers, you have 100 customer interviews, whatever that traction is, own it. You're at pre-seed, you're seed, wherever you are. And then you saw most of them having investment ask. This is how much we're raising. This is a use of funds. And then a closing was just like a question, or like the, you know, has saying, do you have any questions? Or this is my contact information. So I know at the very beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But really now you have a couple of examples. You know how to kind of say, I think I know where I am with all of these in my company. I now can use this this structure to help you out. So I have this also as a, let me see. You can just copy and paste it. I just have to find it. Give me a second. This is the one that I say I share with everybody. It's an open share.
Danny, you might be able to use it.
Yeah.
Everything helps for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, I do it like this because sorry.
Will that slide be available? That whole synopsis? So, okay, great.
I'm gonna give it to you right now. everyone in meeting. That's that. So that's that Google Drive. You can just I would, because it's just on my drive, you just can take it and just copy it onto your drive. And then I have a LinkedIn article that I explain it all. So very openly. And I'm just gonna get that for you. Give me 1 second. I have a whole newsletter that I publish every week on investor and founder stuff. So let me get you here. This is the newsletter. And then I think it's about like 8 in on this newsletter. Let me see where it is. Give me a second. I have to scroll and get it for you. I'll get it for you. I talk about all kinds of things. So that's why I have to go way down here. And I'll update it probably this year again. Scroll. Here it is. This one right here is the explanation of that entire pitch deck. So I go, so this is what I'm looking for. I should just think about like where I'm at and that I've already done it. This article goes through this piece that I was talking at the very beginning, why you product market fit and why now. So like why you are doing it, why now, and that product market fit of the company. And then you'll see in this article, I also give you the slide share too. I don't give out the deck on the drive because it's like too many people. It's like thousands of people that see this. And then I kind of just walk you through the outline. All of these are right here. I go through this and then I go all through. It's very, very long. Give you examples, the slides that I covered in the presentation. So all of it is right there. If you're more of a text person, you can just like read it all. And if you have any questions, I'm always available. I'm an advisor at the Brink. I have 83 clients, so I have my hands full. But I'm here to serve you as entrepreneurs, and the broader SBDC network is also here to serve you. So they can help you with anything. Danny, I know that you're like, what am I gonna do? So work on it a little bit, book some time with me, whatever book some time with other advisors, with whoever you have assigned. And if you have any questions, always reach out to Steven. He's kind of like the funneling of what you need. Ask away. We're here to be your support system. Okay. So thank you so much.
84 now.
What?
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I love that. Please. So, yeah, I'm glad everybody had a good time. I'm glad that I was able to find some examples. And thank you, Lorraine, for being so open and vulnerable to share your deck. You've worked really hard on it. So
Oh, sure. Thank you
and so thanks for putting yourself out there, and it's fun. Thanks for spending your evening with me. This is so nice. And we'll see you around. There's going to be other, workshops. So keep your emails open to see what Steven sends from the SBDC. So thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Silvia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good
Bye.
night.